Hi, Amber. How you doing? This is really interesting. I'm so glad that you're really expressing yourself in terms of your conceptual development. I think it's fantastic. It really gives me a great insight as to your development and how you're retaining things and how you're applying what you've learned. And it's fantastic. I love it. Purple lavender. I believe in this aromatherapy. I do. I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes towards the end of the day, I get a little keyed up, especially towards the end of the day, I get a little bit on edge, as I'm winding down. And my wife has been doing this thing lately. It's actually lavender. She's been wearing lavender, and towards the end of the day, she puts this lavender spray on it. I'm going to tell you something. It calms me right down. It's amazing. So to make that connection between the lavender essential oils and the smell and aromatherapy and the visual attributes of that color, I think is really a complex thought pattern and one that's very, very interesting in its relationship to design. So thank you so much for sharing that. Let's jump right to your composition. Visually, it's gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Really nice work. Very, very well done. Okay, I'm going to grab my straight edge here and let's just run a couple of tests. Okay, right now we can see that this type on a path right now is you're not even because I just have this straight edge right here at the bottom of the E, okay? And we can see that F is just a little bit off. Let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. And what we'll do is we'll take the I. That one's pretty even. Okay, so this is called type on a path, and if you're in Illustrator or Photoshop, I think you alluded to the fact that you watched some tutorials, and that's fantastic. But make sure that you're using what's called type on a path. It's a really important. It's a very, very often used tool in Illustrator. But there's some areas here that I think are a little bit inconsistent. Okay, so right here. This O is really far away from the P. The kerning right there is leading me to believe that and I'm not saying you did, so correct me if I'm wrong, but did you assemble these letter by letter on the path? If you did, we can see some inconsistencies. And if you did, also take some tutorials on type on a path. Okay, it's type on a path in Illustrator, type on a path in Photoshop. It'll teach you how to do this. So it's actually perfect. So, all right. So the color's gorgeous. The monochromatic theme, color scheme is just gorgeous. Really effective use of different hues and different values associated with that hue. And I think the gradient background is very effective as well. I'm typically not a big fan of drop shadow, especially on type, but this is done pretty well. I would reduce that opacity of that, though. I think it's a little too dark, impeding the readability of the words. I think that the shadow itself right now is interfering with the shapes of the words. We can see it specifically if we look at it at a distance where these words become very difficult to read when we simulate this illusion of looking at this at a distance. So let's zoom back out. Okay, now as far as the cadence goes, the composition itself is really creative. I think you've done a fantastic job. So moving forward, my recommendations are to clean up these areas, make sure that is type on a path. All right, watch your kerning. Okay, take a look at the distance between the M and the A. It's really far away, especially when you take a look and compare it to the distance between the E and the S. So make sure that you watch your kerning between each and every letter in the words. Watch that type on a path. I think that you're really, really going to clean that bottom edge up right there. All right, now as far as the cadence of the phrase goes, we see faith does not make, and I'm just going to read this and follow my cadence, okay, because this is how the viewer reads this. Faith does not make things easy. It makes them possible. That's awkward. Things easy. Right now, things easy is the center. It's the focal point of the composition. That's the first thing we see. So that phrase has to make sense. The phrase things easy doesn't make sense. All right. For that reason, I'm going to recommend that you do this. Recompose so that the top says faith does not make things easy, and then just increase the size so the easy is really pushing the boundaries of your scale experimenting and creating emphasis based on scale and creating contrasts based on scale. So faith does not make things easy. it makes them possible. I think that makes more sense, don't you? So try that, try those changes, and I really think you're going to be, I know it's going to make a big difference. Let me just check one other thing here. Okay, good job, though. Really great start. I'm so glad you're enjoying typography. It's one of my favorite things in all of design, and it always has been. So glad to hear you've enjoyed this assignment. All right, if you have any questions, let me know, but I would like to see those changes moving into your final composition. Thank you very much, Amber. Great job.